Would you rather have a team with a world-class manager and average players, or superstar players and an average manager? Which one do you think will be more successful?
Well, I think, okay, so are we not talking about who's more important?
No, this is just an analogy, hypothetically, for you.
Okay. For me, I'd rather have a manager that is like world class, regardless of like the players. But again, there's a thing where I think that different kinds of managers are suited to different kinds of situations.
Very recently, we've seen how much managers have had to deal with because of certain players in their team. Shout out to Kylian Mbappe, who is now a Real Madrid player. But it brings us to the leading question: managers or players? Who should have more power in a football team?
It's a no-brainer. It has to be the manager, because you look at teams, you can't talk about a team without the manager. That's why we can never forget about what Jose Mourinho has done as a manager with Inter Milan, Chelsea, even going to the Roma that most coaches would not even go to, and he won them the Conference League. You look at great managers like Jurgen Klopp before coming to Liverpool. Liverpool were nowhere after those glory days that he had. He brought in that City. You can't talk about City success without Pep Guardiola, and the Premier League is just waiting for Pep Guardiola to leave so that City will become touchable, because without him leaving, it feels like City will still be sort of invincible in the league. I feel managers have a lot to do. Yes, the players are important, like having those key players that can change the game for you, but then we've seen big teams that have arrays of stars and they are watered down by teams that have good managers. Good team.
Example. 2013-14 Barca.
Yes, Barca. You can't even forget about
Martino.
You can't even forget about, even let's talk about the invincible side of that's not even Arsene Wenger. I'm saying most recent Xavi Alonso.
Leverkusen.
With Leverkusen. You look at it. They are not the biggest of names, but they're able to even defeat a side like Bayern Munich that had all the stars. Who would have believed that Bayern will not win the league with a hurricane? So I think managers would always stand it, and that's why they will be the first to be sacked if the team is not doing well.
So do you agree with that, Ceremony? Like, let me give you a quick analogy. Would you rather have a team with a world-class manager and average players, or superstar players and an average manager? Which one do you think will be more successful?
Well, I think, okay, so are we not talking about who's more important?
No, this is just an analogy, hypothetically, for you.
Okay. For me, I'd rather have a manager that is like world class, regardless of like the players. But again, there's a thing where I think that different kinds of managers are suited to different kinds of situations. Like Carlo Ancelotti, he's a man made for superstars.
Yeah. Ancelotti
knows how to manage egos and emotions. Many of his ex-players have said that he's not the most tactically deep guy.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what caused problems for him at Bayern, because the players had just come off Pep Guardiola, who was very meticulous.
Yeah.
And then Ancelotti came, and the way Ancelotti used to do at Milan, for instance, he would just call the big boys, the Maldinis and co. They just have a quick meeting before training, then he'll tell them what he wants, and then they go and sort it out.
Yeah.
It was like this whole mafia sets in, right? And then he goes to a place like Bayern, and he can't do that because the players want to hear you. So again, it depends, but what we're seeing is Ancelotti works better with like superstars. He can handle the egos and he can manage them, and they can all just be his best friends. Mourinho as well did very well with superstars in the earlier days, but Mourinho also likes to have a lot of control. And so when he got to a place where the superstars in the team, their egos were also as big as Mourinho, and Mourinho couldn't control them anymore, or get the reactions he wanted, it caused trouble. So I think it always just depends on like the way the manager. Pep is another person that's just like Mourinho. He likes to be in charge.
Control.
Yeah. So for me, I want a manager that is excellent, because at the end of the day, the tactics matter a lot. You can have superstars, but I mean, we saw the Galacticos with all the superstars.
Yeah,
there were issues. They kept changing coaches and all of that, and that one was not even about egos or anything. It was about the actual tactics. Let's see what you want to create. So I think
it reminds me of Manuel Pellegrini at Madrid. They had all the Ronaldo, Casillas,
even when Benitez, when he struggled.
And I think PSG is the perfect example of you can have all the superstars in the world, but if you don't have a proper structure surrounding them, nothing
the
will
environment
come out
matters
of it.
a lot.
We could even see that.
But at the same time, don't you think a coach can do all he needs to do and the players can let him down, but he will still take the fall for it? Is that not happening a lot in football?
It happens.
It happens, but that's the job. That's the job.
I mean, when I look at the way Pochettino was sacked at Chelsea, I mean, this guy was trying to put out his strategy and all of that. And in the second half of the season, players started to turn up. Cole Palmer was the highlight, and you saw how the
players were very attached to him.
They finished sixth when they turned up.
It reminds me of AVB also. AVB came to Chelsea with a mandate. His mandate was phase out the old players, but he didn't have the backing of Oga when the going got tough because
then the results were not forthcoming.
Yeah, results were forthcoming. Players were going behind his back to go meet the owner, and he was entertaining them and listening to them. So of course they turned on him, and at the end of the day he got kicked out. It happened to Scolari as well at Chelsea. That player power was so much at Chelsea back then. Those top players, whenever they said anything, and they had a direct link to the owner, so they could go above their coach and go and say whatever they wanted. Now I got to experience that personally because I did some coaching many years ago, and
But did you win any trophy first of all? Did you win any trophy?
I won hearts.
You won hearts
like Arsenal.
Okay.
I won hearts like Arsenal.
No, we have.
I won hearts like Arsenal.
Shield last season.
See, mine was baptism of fire. To be honest, kind of teams I was facing was one of the teams I faced. They are in NLO currently, so you can imagine what I went through. And I didn't know what to expect because that was the first time I was hearing about them. I went to play them and they were using us. But anyway, I got to really experience what it's like for players to have power. And I'll give you an example. In training one day, one of my players, I was giving him instructions. He was on the pitch. I was telling him to do something. And then he looked at me and said he was going to beat me up.
Your player?
My player.
No, it happens now.
In training, he said he was going to beat me up, and he turned to something else, and he came out like, why would I talking to him? I'm like, I'm the coach of the team. And part of the problem was that I had been a player in the team.
Oh.
Yes.
So there was almost see finish there. Like, why would this guy be talking to me? You get, but now I was the coach, right? And he was just angry and wanted to fight me. He wanted to beat me up in front of everybody. And I'm like, okay now, if you want to fight, let's go. If that's what you want, But I was really, really upset about it. And I said, I don't want this player in my team anymore. And I was told that the player cannot leave. That this guy, in fact, not just that he cannot leave, he must start. What can I do from that point on? You have already made me look bad. You have reduced my power in the team. I don't have any power anymore. And everybody now knows that someone will supersede or over.
This thing you're saying, it actually brings me to the point that I actually feel players have too much power in football right now. I mean, you guys agree that a world-class manager is important, and I think I agree. But then I look at Tottenham. They had Conte, they had Mourinho. Two among the best in the past decade, and they could not amount to anything. So I would like to say a world-class manager is not more important. I think they are about on the same level.
But if you look at that Tottenham
and I can tell you, if you put Guardiola at Tottenham, they will not come.
But you see how funny it is. People used to insult Pochettino for not winning with that same team. Even though he was doing, he got to the final with Champions League, and people were undermining it until they now saw the Contes and the Mourinho's coming, and they couldn't win as well.
But if you look at that Mourinho's time too at Tottenham, I don't think you look at it at a bad way, because let's not forget that he didn't get a chance to play that final.
Yeah, but he got multiple chances to play. He lost. He had a 2-0 lead against Dynamo first leg in the Europa League, and he went there and collected 3-0.
But then I'm talking about for
we have gone past this saga, but I'd just like to bring it up again. I mean, we're Nigerians, and it's a good way to Victor Osimhen and ex-manager Finidi George. We remember what happened and all of that, and fans were picking their sides. and we
Yeah.
all know who the fans were supporting. The
Yes,
majority of the
Victor
fans were
Osimhen.
supporting, and it brings us to the question: are fans also responsible for players having so much power in football these days?
Yeah.
Like, look at what
Fans are
Caicedo
very-
came out to say lately about
About his
Pochettino.
former manager.
There was
Yeah.
no tactics, and people were supporting him.
At
Fans were supporting
that
him.
young age, you ask yourself what level of coaching or even tactics has Caicedo been exposed to for him to see a manager like Pochettino and you say
And you
he's
say
not good
this is
because
somebody that
that's
coached
the
world-class
biggest
players.
manager that he,
Yeah.
if you look at it in his footballing career, that's his biggest manager that he has been coached under. You talk about the Osimhen saga. Fans did not even understand how bad what he did was.
To
Firstly,
begin
the
with,
insult.
fans didn't
Just
rate
because they feel that
Finidi.
without
Yeah.
yes.
I think that was part of the problem.
No, apart from not
if the
rating.
manager of the national team was maybe Hervé Renard,
No,
first of all,
I tell
Osimhen
you-
wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's we are just talking about the fan angle. Whether it
Yeah.
was any other coach or not, fans will surely tally to the angle of Osimhen. Osimhen is like I'm not saying it's like what we have now in Super Eagles. That's why
It's
even
our
the
best player.
NFF
Okay, so-
has not
okay.
come out to this point to say anything
But
about
I think
it because
also all
that
these
has
things-
Yeah.
already they have set a precedence in that camp
Yeah,
that
this is
Osimhen
okay.
is the egg in this
untouchable.
team. Is untouchable,
Yeah.
and that gives him that feeling to feel that whether I play well or not, I'll always be the Super Eagles team. I will always be
this guy.
invited,
Fair.
and that's really a bad precedent. But
For
for
me,
whatever
again,
reason,
To go back
shouldn't
to
have led that
the
way.
example I gave, and just in general, at the end of the day, this, like you said, the structure in the club, the environment
The
matters, the
environment,
culture. PSG's culture, right? From the moment they signed Neymar, and they gave him some ridiculous clauses, paying him to
Yeah.
attend to fans and things like that. They made it look like, oh, we're so happy to just have you here. We're just happy to be here. Act like you've been here before,
Yeah.
right? And because of that, also, I mean, like I said about the structure, you need, for instance, at a club like Manchester United, you need a football person
Yeah.
in management that can mediate and just bring that balance. So on the one hand, for instance, Mourinho wanted Martial out, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't sell a 23, 24-year-old Martial if I'm in charge.
Yeah.
I don't care what the coach says, right? I'll just tell him, oh, this guy cannot be sold because you can get fired tomorrow, but you have sold our future to go and sign a 30-year-old or something. And then by the time you go, the squad is all over the place. So you need someone in structure to look out for the future of the club, because the coach does not really care about your future as a club. He just wants to win to keep his job, right? But also on the balance, also when players start acting up, there has to be someone there also in management that can show that the manager is the one in charge.
Yeah.
So he has to get some respect, and we don't see that in clubs like PSG.
Yeah.
So managers get trampled on all the time. Sometimes players get trampled on. There's nobody
So, you know,
specifically
even at
there to
United,
bring
it
that
once
balance.
happened at Chelsea
on a
as well. You
final
can't
note, though,
forget
on a
that.
final note, though, like this is a very important topic for us as football lovers, because the way football is going now, the older managers are already declining. We
Yeah.
are seeing more rise of young managers,
Yeah.
Arteta, Alonso,
Teams
younger
are going-
managers.
teams are
that-
going for
And
young
you saw
managers.
Arteta have issues.
maybe the age difference between the oldest player and the manager might not be maybe 4 or 5 years or something
Don't
like
forget
that.
Nagelsmann
Or
was-
maybe
Nagelsmann was very young.
now we're even having cases of a player, the coach maybe played with this
Lewandowski
player.
had a problem with Nagelsmann.
Nagelsmann,
Exactly.
Like, why
feels
is that
like
telling
Why
me
is
what
guy
to
telling
do?
Why
what-
this small boy?
I've scored too many goals.
So what should be the responsibility of the fans in bridging this coach player, power tussle? What should be the responsibility of the fans?
I don't think fans have enough information. And it's kind of what we said the other time, that fans know too much, but they don't even know enough. But they know too
or they
much.
don't know the right things.
Exactly.
that
So they just
should
know
do.
too much about what's going on behind the scenes, but they don't now have the nuance
Yes.
of dynamics. So it's just the Sancho Ten Hag matter.
We will never know.
You will
the
never know. You were
intricacies.
not there. All you know is what Ten Hag showed you
And
in
what
public and what
Sancho
Sancho came out
comes
to
out to
say.
say.
But you don't know why Sancho is so upset about it. You don't know why Ten Hag
Hag is
is
also
so
so-
adamant.
yeah.
You don't really have the full information. You just have what one ITK has said and what this person has said. So you now you're acting based on, or you're having opinions based on what you have been exposed to, what they've told you. You don't really know. So I think that fans, as much as possible, should try to be a bit balanced and
To be
just detach
balanced
a
in their
bit
approach,
and not make such bold statements about this person and this person. There are some things where we know enough. We can clearly even see it on the pitch in the decisions that the manager is making and all of that. But there are certain matters where there's no need to take sides. Just
Okay, so
if you look at it,
the final, to wrap it up, the biggest influence of fans that we've seen at the ongoing Euros now is with Gareth Southgate and England. I mean, you see people shout. I mean, I can imagine if Southgate does not want to start a foodie, and you hear things like, how would you not start the Premier League player of the season? Or if he decides to do that with Bellingham, how would you not start the La Liga player of the season? Palmer was not starting, how would you not start somebody that had 40 goals and assists? What do you think? What do you think can stop all this kind of culture?
I don't think it can stop.
It can't stop.
I don't think it can.
It can't.
Because fans live by emotion and by that current form of players, and that's why even when England went to the Euros, we're like, this is the most talented squad till date. Even and they've made it to the final, although they've not been the most fantastic team. I think fans will just continue to be like that. I don't think anything's going to change it. It's like saying, how do I put it now? It's like telling fans to have a different approach to how they see their games. Fans love success, no matter how. That's why once there's a trophy, like a United fan, you come and start telling them, start trusting another process again. This season they're looking at Ten Hag. Ten Hag, you need to win us a title. You need to take us to the Champions League. Whatever is done, none of them is the business. Especially then they have a player that's oozes a lot of confidence in the team, that is like the best player on that pitch, like Cole Palmer. If Cole Palmer goes back to Chelsea start of the season, he'll be treated like a prince, because we know how the good season was. Haaland is still treated as good as he is. Even Kevin De Bruyne, there's some teams that would have been thinking about disposing him of, like, because he's now getting old. But because of what he has done to City, if you even take him, some fans of City will even want him to retire at the club.
And to be honest,
so those are the things.
There's some players you kind of make exceptions for.
Yes. Players like Messi, Ronaldo,
they tend to make it. But
even
there's a point where if you go across, if you do it too much, you have a problem. That's why Ronaldo had to leave Manchester United, because it got into his head. He went to do a whole interview coming after his own manager. Yeah. That's just...
anyways, I think I've agreed with everything we both said. Just on a final note, I would just have to slightly disagree with Ezineye a bit, because I feel things can actually change. You said fans, the way fans see it cannot change. Perceptions change. Like football has evolved over time. Tactical formations, everything. Arsenal, once upon a time, our fans knew that we are a selling club. We sell our best players. That was our reality. Now we are holding on to them. Things can change.
Knox and Saka.
Just calm down. So things can actually change, and it's the same way fans can actually adjust over time to change their mentality.
And then that's your manager Mikel Arteta starts benching Saka.
If his reason is genuine, then why not? You have to. If there is a better player that can give you more than Saka, why not?
Remember,
but a lot of fans will have a problem with that.
Fans of United did not like Sancho was wrong. But when Dortmund got to the finals of the Champions League,
we had problems with Arteta benching Martinelli. But when Trossard was delivering, we kept the.
That's why I said fans are moved by emotions, and that is the current state of the game.
Aubameyang issue as well. To be honest, I don't know. The jury is out there, but I still feel like fans can adjust.
Definitely, but the emotion will always override.
Yeah, and it's a time of football where star power among players is continuing to grow. We are seeing players like Bellingham, Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, gain their star. Why are you looking at me?
I was thinking you got someone.
We are looking at players like Saliba, Saka, and of course Kai Havertz, with the star power they have all over for club and country. So it begs the question of whether managers are being treated harshly, or whether footballers are giving too much power. We'd like you to join us in the conversation below and tell us your thoughts on this delicate football topic. And speaking about power, I have the power now to end this show, because that's all we have time for you. Goodbye.